I landed in Bangkok, Thailand, to visit Savannakhet, Laos, for the first time in 5 years. The flight from Tokyo to Bangkok was with AirAsia, so it didn't land at Suvarnabhumi International Airport but at Don Mueang International Airport. From there, we are taking a taxi to the bus terminal. Although there is an affordable bus from the airport to get around, if your group consists of 3 or more people, you should choose a taxi, as the fare is almost the same. In our case, the taxi fare was 122 baht. I paid 160 baht, including a tip. I remember the bus fare was 45 baht 5 years ago. Now, 5 years later, it might be 50 or more. Taxi fares in Thailand are still reasonable, even if other expenses have increased over the past 5 years. As is often the case when I'm filming, I didn't record the scene at the bus station, sorry about that. Anyway, the VIP bus to Mukdahan, which existed 5 years ago, is no longer available. That bus had a seating arrangement of 1 seat on one side and 2 seats on the other, making it ideal for groups of 3 people. Although it depends on the transportation company, long-distance buses in Thailand often include a coupon attached to the ticket that can be used at a rest stop. The bus usually stops for a break. This time, as usual, the bus stopped, and I handed over our bus tickets, mine, my daughter's, and my ex-wife's, to use the coupons, each worth 25 baht, for food and drinks. I had noodle soup for 40 baht, so I paid 15 baht in cash along with the coupon. The clerk tore off the coupon portion from the perforated line on the ticket. Afterward, I went into a shop next to the food court and picked up drinks worth 50 baht for them. Night buses usually stop at a rest area around midnight, so some passengers prefer to stay on the bus and continue sleeping. My daughter and ex-wife did the same. At that time, a vendor came onto the bus selling food and drinks worth 25 baht, which you could exchange for your coupon. The advantage of taking a night bus is that you can save money on accommodation for the night, and when you wake up, you might already be at your destination. However, you may find yourself waking up repeatedly due to the difficulty of sleeping comfortably on the bus. Anyway, Savannakhet is not easily accessible from Tokyo. I never look for the best way to get there until I actually need to go. However, every time, I come to the same conclusion. The best option is to take a night bus to Mukdahan after arriving in Bangkok on an international flight. Every other option requires spending a night in accommodation before reaching Savannakhet, where, even if you manage to arrive in Savannakhet on the same day, it's already nighttime, leaving no time to do anything but sleep in accommodation, essentially the same outcome. That said, most foreign travelers come from places other than Tokyo, so there might be a better route depending on your situation. As I mentioned, early the next morning after we arrived in Bangkok, we reached Mukdahan. My ex-wife went shopping there for goods that are difficult to find or are expensive in Savannakhet, Laos. Then, at noon, we boarded the international bus to Savannakhet. As for the passport control between Thailand and Laos, I was confused by the differences from 5 years ago. Thai customs now ask you to fill out a departure card, whereas before, there was no need to submit an entry card at Don Mueang or Suvarnabhumi International Airports. I wasn't asked to submit a departure card when returning to Japan either. On the Laos side, my daughter and I were asked to pay entrance fees twice. The first payment was at the passport control booth, where we paid 100 baht for the 2 of us. The second payment was at the exit gate, where we paid 20,000 kip for an adult and 10,000 kip for a child. This was exchanged for 2 receipts with a QR code, which you are supposed to scan at the gate machine. 5 years ago, I wasn't asked for any payment at immigration. Additionally, I could do a visa run between Thailand and Laos and stay in Savannakhet with my wife for longer than the usual 2-week limit for a tourist visa. The visa run, which was once blocked by the Thai government, has been limited to twice a year since July 2016. However, there's good news. This limitation has been lifted as of December 2024. This isn't just a rumor among foreign travelers. The Japanese embassy in Laos reported it, although they noted it hasn't been officially confirmed by the Thai government. From my understanding, the Thai government hasn't officially lifted the regulation yet, but Thai immigration may allow re-entry more than twice a year, depending on your situation. In other words, if the immigration officer considers you an uninvited foreigner, you may still be denied re-entry based on the regulation. In short, You need to understand your own situation and what category you fall into. I think you need to have a return flight ticket to your country at the very least. What I first noticed as a difference from 5 years ago in Savannakhet is that most intersections, except those in the old city, have been converted into roundabouts. The reason might be that roundabouts don't require traffic signals or officers to direct vehicles. In fact, when I lived here, officers would direct traffic during the busy morning and evening hours instead of relying on traffic signals. This might have been because the Lao government didn't have the budget to install traffic signals in multiple locations. Regarding one of the few traffic lights in the old town of Savannakhet, I reported in a 2014 video that it had been decommissioned. A new traffic light was installed a few blocks south of the old one. The new light has reasonable intervals between green and red signals, unlike the old one, which had unbalanced timing. With the old light, you had to wait up to 96 seconds for the green signal, while the green light lasted only 25 seconds at most. These unfair intervals favored the less busy road and put the main street, which had heavier traffic, at a disadvantage. Therefore, I reported that most people ignored the signal, and pedestrians often jaywalk. You can't jaywalk at the new traffic signals, even if they remain unfair to one side, because police officers monitor the traffic from a watch group. However, the new traffic lights appear to be fair to both streets. Secondly, another difference I noticed from 5 years ago in Savannakhet is that the number of Chinese-made motorbikes on the streets has significantly decreased. To be more precise, they have been replaced by Chinese electric bikes. However, even Lao people seem to view electric vehicles as still immature, especially EVs made in China. As a result, these electric bikes haven't yet gained a significant market share compared to the motorbikes seen before. As you can see, the bank of the Mekong River has been developed. The pedestrian path has been extended and improved to make walking easier, and public gyms and playgrounds with equipment have been installed. However, greenery has decreased. I feel nostalgic for the old scenery, where looking down from the barrier revealed trees and grass along the riverbank, though there was also litter. Regarding the garbage that Lao people used to throw around, I noticed a sign warning of a 500,000 kip fine for littering. It seems to help keep the area cleaner than ever. And of course, I hope there has been a change in the mindset of Lao people regarding keeping the environment clean. This scene is an onboard view as we head to that Hang, a stupa that is famous among Lao people and is mentioned in all travel guides. A stupa is originally a grave marker of the Buddha, meaning it typically contains Buddha's cremains. However, there are so many stupas across Asia that they have largely become symbolic representations of the Buddha. Therefore, it is pointless to wonder whether they actually contain cremains or not. My ex-wife loves visiting Buddhist temples, called Wat in Lao. Whenever she returns home to Savannakhet, she makes a pilgrimage to 9 Wats. I'm not sure about the significance of the number 9. I thought it might not have any special meaning, but it could be considered a lucky number in their belief. As for me, the number 9 reminds me of baccarat in a casino, where it symbolizes not luck but the ruin that comes with gambling. My ex-wife is quite unique. She brought me to her hometown of Savannakhet and to the Wats to pray for a happy life, not only for herself and her daughter, but also for me, even though we are divorced. The main reason for returning to her country was to let her father see our daughter for the first time in 5 years. Secondly, she seemed to want to take us to the 9 Wats. I still appreciate her thoughtfulness. You might wonder why we divorced, but the reasons were complicated and not easy to explain concisely or clearly. Anyway, some of the Wats have ponds where fish live. These ponds provide opportunities to do good deeds, such as feeding the fish or saving their lives. In fact, shops along the road to the entrance of a Wat sell not only fish food but also live fish, allowing you to save their lives by purchasing and releasing them into the pond, a good deed to be proud of. However, a few days later, I saw her eating fried fish at a welcome party. This scene shows the view from the loading space of a truck, a common way of traveling in Southeast Asia. However, this style has become less common in Thailand due to its economic progress. I was taken to my ex-wife's aunt's house in the countryside, which would only take 30 minutes by car if the roads were well paved. About 20 minutes after leaving the town of Savannakhet by car, a pastoral landscape unfolds before you. When my ex-wife's mother was alive, her aunt would visit her house in Savannakhet. I've heard that to get there, you had to take a bus early in the morning and return by bus in the evening. What I call a bus here is actually a truck with seats installed in the loading space, and it ran only twice a day, once in the early morning and once in the evening, as I mentioned earlier. If you missed these times, you couldn't make the round trip in a single day, or you'd have to ask an acquaintance to drive you there. How inconvenient this is for a distance of just 30 kilometers. People in the village seem to live almost entirely self-sufficiently. In fact, the aunt picked herbs from the vegetable garden to add to the ingredients we brought, prepared a meal, and we ate it contentedly.
Yeah.
I returned to the old town of Savannakhet. This time, I had only 8 days here. Every day, I visited the old town, never growing tired of the familiar scenes and routines. My routine included walking to the riverbank, stopping by a shop along the way to buy a drink. The price of coffee at a typical shop in Laos has quadrupled compared to 10 years ago. Although I found a shop selling cheaper coffee for 12,000 kip, the taste wasn't good. However, when considering the price in terms of the US dollar, it has only doubled, or slightly more, due to currency exchange rates. In Southeast Asia, soft drinks are commonly served cold over ice cubes. Vendors often make them with a richer flavor to compensate for the dilution as the ice melts over time. Initially, the taste is strong, so it's best to drink it before your thirst sets in fully. That's why I buy one on my way to the riverbank, even if I'm not yet thirsty. Then, after finding a suitable bench and sitting down, I finally drink it just at the right time. A campsite has been set up in part of the park here, which surprised me. Most traditional Laotian houses in the countryside are built on raised floors, with open living spaces that have no walls for better ventilation to avoid heat, and they still use wood charcoal for cooking. That lifestyle already feels like camping. So, who would pay to camp here? In fact, management seemed poor. I didn't see a single customer during my stay in Savannakhet. However, I appreciate the adoption of culture from advanced countries as a symbol of a country's progress. For example, you can now see people fishing for leisure, in contrast to fishing for livelihood as most fishermen did 10 or more years ago. As I mentioned before, coffee here is typically served cold. If you prefer a hot cup, you should visit Cafe Amazon, a chain from Thailand, with one location along the riverbank. A large cup of cappuccino costs only $2, and it's my favorite choice. Unlike the common vending stands that sell pre-made coffee with a fixed, sugary taste, Cafe Amazon offers options, including non-sugar versions, which I really appreciate. By the way, although I didn't do much sightseeing in Thailand on this trip, I did notice the prices at Starbucks in Don Muang International Airport about 30% more expensive than Cafe Amazon.
ผู้ชาย
I felt a sense of stagnation during my stay here compared to the time I lived in Savannakhet for 7 years. At first, I thought it was because of the holiday season at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. However, I noticed that the children of my ex-wife's cousins were still attending school, meaning it wasn't a holiday for them. This sense of stagnation must reflect the current economic situation in Laos. Looking back to the time I lived here for 7 years, around 10 years ago, Laos' economy was bolstered by Chinese economic influence. The Chinese government periodically reports its economic statistics, though Western countries often question their accuracy. If the Lao government reports its economic statistics accurately and you analyze them closely, you might be able to estimate the true economic situation in China. Back then, I occasionally saw 3 homeless people. They didn't appear to be in misery, as is often the case in hot and fertile countries. If I had food with me when I saw them, I would give it to them, though we never spoke. This relationship continued for 7 years until I returned to my country. This time, however, I haven't seen any homeless people at all. I hope the Lao government has taken steps to help them.